I'm Erlidawn Roy, and welcome to my sewing corner. I am Meskwaki, Anishinaabe, Laguna Pueblo, and Isleta Pueblo. I was born and raised here in Denver, Colorado. Although I've made my home in other states and other cities, I've always came back here, and now this is where I make my home. I was introduced into the powwow circle at a very young age, so I've been dancing since before I can walk, and now I still continue to dance. And I am a regalia maker. I'm a seamstress and a beater, so I teach a class right now at the Denver Indian Center along with Denver Public Schools, and I teach young girls and women how to make their own ribbon skirts. I think that it's important for Native girls and women to have their own ribbon skirt, at least one within their closet, and to have them make their own ribbon skirt. I think that's really important. The ribbon skirt, it shows a sense of pride and a sense of connectivity to being Native. The ribbon skirt is important for us. It shows us the roles of a woman. We are the life bearers and we are important to our people. The ribbon skirt, it's important for us. It shows a sense of pride whenever we wear it. It shows others that we have pride in ourselves. And when we wear it, we show that we have respect for not only others, but for ourselves. It honors our grandmothers, it honors our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, our nieces, and all the other women of our family. When we wear a ribbon skirt, we wear it, it's a long skirt. And that's because we want it long, because it touches the medicine as we walk. And so that's why we have this ribbon skirt that makes us connected to the earth. Ribbon skirts, they can be worn anywhere. They can be worn at a job, they can be worn at powwows, in ceremonies. Even we've seen Deb Holland wear it on the Senate floor. So it's really important and powerful when you see a woman out and about wearing her ribbon skirt. She has that sense of pride and sense of confidence. And that's what I feel that it gives the girls when I teach them. It's great to have a ribbon skirt, but to create your own, that's really important. So that's what I'm here to teach you today. I have my sewing machine out and I have some supplies, and I'll show you what's needed and what's needed to make your ribbon skirt. So I'm excited. Let's have some fun. But first we gotta go shopping. Here we are, my best friend Joanns. I'm sure you might know of her. My Joanns store has all kinds of fabric to choose from. You could spend all day trying to find the right fabric for you. And of course, the ribbon selection. Joanns has tons and tons of ribbon. And different sizes, different colors. And of course, you can't forget your thread. And here's my fabric I ended up choosing. Okay, so now on to the supplies and the tools that we need to create your beautiful ribbon skirts. Most importantly, first and foremost, you're going to need your material. I like to use 100% cotton material. It's really nice and easy to work with, especially if you're a beginner. It's really nice to iron. It will hold its iron, especially when you're creating those hems. And it's really nice and complements the ribbon that you'll be using. We'll need 2 yards of this material. So, and as for the ribbon, we are using, I like to use the 7/8 wide inch material. or ribbon. This is the double-sided satin material, and it really complements the cotton material. Like I said, it really contrasts with each other, so it's really nice to use. I am using just 4 colors today. You can use as many colors and as many ribbons and different widths as you like. It's all up to you. You have creative freedom, so you just go ahead and take it and run with it. I like to use all-purpose cotton thread to sew up my material and to attach the ribbons onto the skirt. I really like to use that kind. Next, we are going to need a elastic. This is 1-inch elastic. This is the non-roll kind, so it's really nice to use once this is within your waistband. It's really nice and it has a really flat, even coverage, so I really like that look. You're going to need the safety pin along with it. I found a nice trick. You attach the safety pin to the edge of the elastic and you snake that through the waistband. I'll show you that when we get to that step. As for your measuring, you will need a measuring tape to measure your waist, measure the circumference of your skirt, and to measure the length. That length will go from your waist all the way down to your preference. As for cutting the material, I have scissors or a rotary tool. With the scissors, you're going to be using a long ruler, making a straight line, and then cutting along that line. Or else you can use the rotary tool along with the flat ruler and then this nice cutting mat. That way you protect the blade and you will protect your table underneath. We will need a ruler. This helps out with the hem and also with spacing out the ribbon. So that's really helpful. And as for attaching the ribbon, we have a couple ways to do it. You can use pins to pin down the edges of the ribbon to the material. You can use these tools. This is called Stitch Witch, or there's fusible interfacing, or the heat and bond. And these two you will just iron to the back of your ribbon, then iron that ribbon down to the material. Those ones, once you iron it down, it's really difficult to lift that ribbon up, especially if you're like, ooh, I don't like that placement, or the ribbon is not as straight as you would like it. It's very difficult to take up the ribbon and replace it. That's why I like to use the glue stick. This glue stick is Elmer's glue. I like to buy the name brand Elmer's glue. If you use like the off-brand, it doesn't work as well. I like to use it because it is a temporary hold. It will hold down your ribbons as you can sew it down, so this is really nice to use. It dries clear, it doesn't gum up your machine, nor it doesn't gum up the back of your iron. So whenever you're using the heat and bond, sometimes this glue that's attached to this heat and bond, it may stick to the back of your iron and it gums up your iron and then it leaves a sticky residue onto your material. So that is no good. I don't like using that. And the tools, like I said, you're going to be using an iron, you're going to be using a sewing machine. It doesn't matter if it's a computerized fancy sewing machine or your grandma's hand-me-down. As long as it works and you're comfortable using it, it's all up to you. You can just run with it and go ahead. So that is the supplies and the tools that we're going to be using. Of course, with the iron, you're going to be using the ironing board. So that is it. So it looks like we are getting ready to make our ribbon skirts. Alright, so now that we have our supplies on hand, we need to figure out our measurements and how we are going to cut out our fabric and our elastic for our skirt. So first, we want to find out the measurements where to cut our elastic. So measuring around the area where you want your skirt at. Typically ribbon skirts sit at your waist, but it's really up to you if you want it to have it around your hips. So for me, my skirt is going to sit around my waist area, and around my waist area is about 32 inches. So I'm going to cut it right at the 32-inch mark. So now finding the skirt measurements and how we're going to cut out our fabric. we're going to start up with the length portion. Ribbon skirts are typically made long. You know, we want to show respect while we're inside the circle, especially when we're at certain ceremonies. You don't want your grandma or your aunt to get after you and telling you that you need to put on a different skirt. So ribbon skirts usually start at the waist, measuring all the way down to the top of the ankle bone. So this is where I like my ribbon skirts to sit at. But if you might your skirt a little bit longer, like you want your skirt to hit the top of your foot, or you may like your ribbon skirt to start around your hip area, it's all up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. So finding our length, for me, I'm a little short, so that's why my measurement is going to be about 30 inches. This measurement is from my waist all the way down to the top of my ankle bone. I then add 4 inches for seam allowance. This 4 inches is needed for the bottom hem and then your top waist hem. That way we can fit the elastic all the way through that top hem. So now moving on to the width. I have used this size guide to help with my students and I when trying to figure out how wide we want to make our skirts. These inch measurements are for the circumference of the base of your skirt. So essentially like how wide you want your stride to be. You can make your skirt as wide as you want because, again, remember we are making our elastic fit right around our waist, so our skirt will fit no matter what, how even wide or how skinny our skirt is. But don't make your skirt too skinny. Be sure to check if this measurement isn't smaller than the widest portion of your waist or your hips. You know, you won't be able to sit down in the skirt, or you may not be able to make a comfortable stride while wearing your skirt. So using this style guide, for me, I am a size medium. This 50 inches around the base of my skirt, I really like that. It's really nice and comfortable for me, especially when I'm running or walking in my skirt. So I am going to plug in this 50 inches down into my width calculation. I'm going to add 2 inches, and that will be 52 inches. So for 52 inches, I'm going to use this total, and I'm going to divide it by 2. Essentially, we're going to make a front and a back panel of the skirt. So that's why we're dividing it by 2. So that front panel would be 26 inches wide, and then the back panel is going to be 26 inches wide, essentially making it 52. And that's what I kind of have a rudimentary drawing here of it. So we're going to plug in these numbers. Our length is going to be about 34 inches long, and then our width is going to be the 26 inches wide. So our fabric, 26 inches wide by 34 inches long. So hopefully it didn't confuse you. And let's go cut up our fabric. So what I'm just doing here is I am making sure that this first cut is even. You know, sometimes when you get your material from the fabric stores, they just unfold it and then just cut away. You know, sometimes it's not the straightest, and sometimes when you get your fabric that's from the bolt, it's, you know, not folded properly on there either, so it's kind of crooked and wonky. So you just want to make sure that this first cut is even. Looks like I need to switch my blade out because it's not cutting on that first cut. So that's that first cut. Moving on. Okay, so I have measured out to the 26 inches, and that was my width. So I measured it out and then made a little pin notches on each side. So now I'm going to take my rotary tool. Oopsies. And there I go. I'm going to take my rotary tool and cut along that line. And boo! Woohoo! I changed out my blade, so that was a nice cleaner cut. So now I measured out again, 26 inches, and then I'll be doing the same thing because again, we're making 2 panels. So this is for my front panel. I'll be doing the back panel next. Okay, so now for my other cut. So that first cut was on the edge of that first panel that we cut off. So I don't really need to cut and trim off this edge of it. So now I've made my mark of my 26-inch width. So now I'm just moving around to make sure that I'm right up at my cut lines that are beneath on my cutting mat. So that way, whenever I use my rotary tool, this is a straight cut. And yep, sure is. Always measure twice, cut once. Always good rule of thumb to think of whenever you're doing this. Because once you cut out your material, you only bought 2 yards of it, so you can't really do it another time. You don't have enough. There we go. There's that cut. All done. There's panel number 2. That is my back panel. So now, cutting on to the length. Looks like I have a couple extra inches of scrap. That's perfectly fine. That's okay. That's why I said I wanted 2 yards of it, just in case if I needed a little bit of extra. And then also I like to use this, maybe make my daughter a skirt, or kind of make some face masks with this to match my skirt. So, woohoo, extra fabric. Okay, so now we have our 1 panel. So let's say this is our front, or either or. I folded it in half. So this is my front panel. I folded it, say, hot dog way, not hamburger. This is long ways folding. And I need to decide which salvage edge I'm going to use as my hem. So sometimes you can use a salvage edge. Whenever you make your elastic hem, you're going to fold it over again and then fold it like that, and then make your hem like that for your top. Or if you're going to use this salvage edge for your bottom hem, you're going to fold it over again and fold it over, and that's your bottom hem. So whatever one you want to keep for your hems, totally fine, because it doesn't matter. The salvage edge is going to be tucked away and hidden. So it doesn't matter which end you use, the top or the bottom. Okay, so I folded my material in half, I guess hot dog way, you know, you fold it like this, not like that. I want to cut off this salvage end of my material. I'm gonna roll up this side to make my bottom hem. So I'm gonna cut off this side of my hem. Make sure you do that to both ends of your fabric. Sometimes you can tell the difference when with your salvage edges. Some will look different like this. So this one for sure I'm cutting off and discarding. I am taking off 11 inches off of this fabric. This is a 45-inch width. You know, when it's on the bolt, it's folded. I just unfolded it, and then it's 45 inches, and I need to make my measurement at the 34 inches. So I'm just taking off 11 inches to make it 34. So that's what I'm doing here today. Making sure again, remember, measure twice, cut once. 11 inches. Okay, perfect. Okay, do that same thing to the second panel. Okay, this is the second panel. Measure twice, cut once. Cutting off 11 inches off of this bottom hem. So that way I have 2 panels that are going to be the 34 by 26. So here we go, cutting panel number 2. There we go. Extra material, woohoo, for a mask or something. Okay, so now that we have our 2 panels, we are going to go ahead and iron Make sure we are ironing out all of our creases. I'm doing this slowly so I don't shake the camera too much, because I have you mounted on the ironing board. But yeah, you want to make sure you iron out all the creases, all the imperfections that are all embedded into the material. That way you have a nice clean surface to kind of start working on. And then I'm using the 100% cotton. Make sure you have your iron set to the right setting. That way you don't scorch your material. Next up, what we're going to be working on is our hem. So you're going to flip over the fabric. Okay. And then take out your little handy dandy ruler. Shouldn't have put it away. Okay, I want this one. This first fold is going to be a 1/2 inch. Let's see, let's do it right here. That way y'all can see me and it's in focus. So that's what I was talking about this little slider tool. This helps out so much when you're making hems. So that way you'll see you are making a 1/2 inch hem. You just iron it down and then move whatever direction you want, making sure that you are pressing it down, pressing down your 1/2 inch hem. Some ladies are awesome at just doing this all just by eyeball. They're like, yeah, that looks about a 1/2 inch. Let's just go ahead and iron that down. Continue on. Like I said, I like to use 100% cotton material. It's so nice to use. It's, when you're ironing, it takes your iron really well. Like as you can see, I just pushed on it for like 2-3 seconds and look, it already kept its crease. Now I like to do a 5/8 of an inch. So you're going to fold it up again. Make sure it's at the 5/8 inch mark. And continue on again. Going along, going along. Now for this last part, I feel confident enough that that's about 5/8 of an inch. I'm not that yet elder status where I'm like, yeah, that's about 5/8 of an inch, but woohoo! But sometimes I get a little lucky. Alright, so that's our bottom hem. We're going to take this into our machine. So along this edge, that way we tack down this hem. And there's a bottom part of our skirt. Alright, I'll be doing the second panel now. So I have already checked my tension. It's good for this material, this cotton material. My tension is good. I don't need to turn the dial or anything. My setting, I'm just gonna do a straight stitch. That's on the left side, the left portion of the foot. So getting ready to sew. You want to do a stay stitch when you start and then a stay stitch at the end. For those beginners that are new to sewing machines and terminology, the stay stitch is when you're going to go forward about 4 stitches and then you're going to use this reverse feature to go back. I like to do about 4 stitches and then you're going to go on, continue on through and stitching all the way down your hemline. And then once you get towards the end, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go toward about to the end of the material. You're going to push your button 4 times to make your stitches go back 4 times, and then push down your petal all the way into the end of the fabric. So without further ado, here we go. Okay. And 4. And there's that stay stitch. Now we'll just continue on through the whole bottom of the hem. And then with sewing, I like to tell my students, you're not pushing the fabric through, you're not pulling it on this side either. There's little feed dogs, there's little grabby thingies that's gonna grab your fabric and push it on through for you. So you don't really have to push through, pull it or anything. All you're just doing is just directing it. You know, you're moving your hands back and forth, directing it. If you want to go this way, if you want to make it go that way. So that's all the thing that you're doing. You don't want to be pulling it too tight either, because you're going to make your stitch kind of a little too taut. And that's not going to be a nice, flat, even look for yourself, especially along your hem. So, here we go. Stay stitch at the end. There we go. Nice bottom hem. Okay, so here we are. I have both of my panels ironed and hemmed. So now it's on to the ribbon. I chose a gradual step pattern for my ribbon. Like I was saying earlier, it's up to you about what ribbon you want to use and how many and what colors. It's all up to you. You have the freedom. But for me, this is what I'm going to use. I like to get my ribbon and cut it at about 1 inch over the skirt material. Just so how I have a little bit to kind of play around with. And remember, you're going to need 2. Because you got 2 panels of a skirt. You got a front side and a back side. So I just find out my measurement for one panel and then just copy it on over. Cut the other side. For this skirt, I'm making a little pink flower skirt. I really like the different shades of pink that's on here. I'm really feeling pink this month, so for others, y'all want to make your skirt like in solidarity and showing that you want to bring awareness to, you know, certain causes. You know, you want to make a MMIW skirt made out of red and blacks, or you want to make an orange shirt day skirt made out of oranges, white, black, or you want to make a 4 directions skirt, you know, black, red, yellow, white. Now you have the freedom about what to make. But this one is going to be pinks. So it depends on how you want to place your ribbon too. You know, if you want to stack them nearby each other, stack them on top of one another. Like that. You know, that's cool and all. But this skirt, right now I'm just eyeballing it. It's not perfect. I'm just kind of getting a feel of what I want. Like that. Or do we want to reverse? Do we want to reverse this? Going from, you know, getting that ombre effect. This is the hard part. But it looks like I think I'm liking this one with the darker on top. And when it being spaced. Not too far apart. You know, with the floral pattern behind it. I think I'm liking that one. Okay, so we decided how we're going to do it. It's, you know, darker to lighter as you go down. And this placement of this ribbon, I want to start it around 4 inches from the bottom of this hem. I'm going to place that guy right there, just to start us off. Glue stick the back of your ribbon. And I bet you're like, oh my god, that's so purple. It dries clear. So don't be too worried. Especially on the satin ribbon. Don't be too worried. It dries clear. We're all good. So I'm using this little guide to help me out. Make sure we're 4 inches away from the bottom of the hem. And this guy. A little bit above. There we go. A little bit up. There we go. Then just press down flat. It dries clear. Don't worry, y'all. We're okay. Okay, welcome back from your commercial break. Just kidding. Forgot to show you a little kind of pro tip I found too. Let's straighten this guy out. Okay, what I like to do is flip this guy backwards. Remember we already worked on him? We glued down the ribbons to this guy. I like to put him face down and put the other one on top of him. Because this has helped me out so much. I will take, that's why I made these guys extra long, because I'm going to use it as my guide for this placement. So it kind of goes a little bit faster because I'm not going to be measuring as, come on. A little clumpy. Let's get this clump off. because I'm not going to be measuring really each time. I'm just going to be making sure that they meet up, because they have to meet up when I sew them. Just make sure it's about at 4 inches. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now we have our stitch set up, our bobbin and bottom bobbin, top thread is the same pink color. We are ready to make our zigzag stitches. And see, look, this glue is sticking the ribbon down to the fabric, and I'm not moving it around too much because it can lift up the more you kind of tug and pull on it. So just kind of be careful. Just be mindful that it might pick up. Alright, so there is a little seam, well not seam, just a little indicator within this foot that shows you where the middle is. So I want to keep my ribbon, this edge of this ribbon, within that little mark, that little tick mark in there. So I'm going to go just straight on through. I'm not going to twist or turn or anything. I'm going to try to keep this towards the center as much as I can. So for you beginner stitchers, beginner sewers, you might want to kind of go slow on this. You don't want to go too fast and kind of intimidate yourself. It's all good if you're just going slow, you know, as long as you get it done. And let's go, let's do this. You don't really need to do a stay stitch here. This zigzag especially, it's gonna stay. So just flow on through. And you probably might not see this on this ribbon, but it's doing a zigzag pattern. So you're just gonna go on through. We're done sewing down these ribbons. And if you're not liking how kind of wavy it's looking and it's not looking as flat as you would like it, just go ahead and iron it down. That kind of gets out all that wrinkledness going on from sewing it down, especially using a zigzag stitch. That may kind of make it a little bit more wavy for you, for your liking. Alright, so now that we got everything ironed up and nice how we want it, we're going to work on matching these up together. We're going to put this right sides facing each other, and especially these ribbons matching each other. Looks like another thread. And then we are going to take our pins and pin these sides together. So this is going to help us out in making sure that everything is nice and met up. You're going to make sure that your hem is nice and met up on each side, both on the bottom hem and along this side where we're going to sew. And then you want to make sure too that it's kind of straight, because if these are kind of off a little, it's gonna not meet up like that. It'll meet up like that. So that's why you want to make sure that it's straight along here when they meet up too. when you are meeting these ends together. Make horizontal pins. That way when you are sewing, you're able to take out your pin easily. Make sure that you don't go over your pins with your sewing machine. You may break a needle or bend it. That's not good, because you don't want a piece of a flying needle kind of coming towards your eye when you're that close working on your material. There we go. And since these ribbons are met up now, we can just meet up this bottom and this top together. And then now, I like to meet in that middle, meet them together, and then again, meet in that middle. Pin it together. And pin that together. There we go. So we are all pinned up on one side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pins going on. It doesn't matter how many pins you do, just make sure that you take them out when you're sewing along. Welcome back to Early Sewing Corner. So, Magic of Television. I have this all pinned. Did that in about 2 seconds. Just kidding. Okay, so let's set myself up. Edge of my pressure foot. We're gonna start off with doing a locking stitch. This is the bottom of the skirt, so this is where my stride is gonna kind of make the most pressure on trying to get this skirt to open and rip. So that's why I'm doing a little extra stitches. But let's continue on, making our side seam. But now we are on to the hem portion for our elastic. This is going to be the top hem. We're going to open up our skirt, slide it on through the ironing board. We are going to need to cut our elastic too, so that's why I have my yardstick out. We said this is going to be, my waist was 32 inches, so I'm measuring to the 32 inch mark. I'm not stretching it out, just kind of laying it as flat as it can be, marking where that 32 inch mark is. Go ahead and cut, and there you go. There's our 1 inch elastic. So we're going to set that to the side, because now we are going to make our hem where we can snake that elastic on through. So now that we have our iron on, it's on and hot, this first hem, this first fold is going to be about a 1/2 inch. So that is the 1/2 inch, and that is the 1/2 inch. And this is why I like using this salvaged edge for this, because whenever we snake through that elastic through this hem, it's not going to catch on anything and fray from within. So that's why I like it, because sometimes when you're snaking it through, oops, sorry about that. Sometimes when you're snaking your elastic on through the hem, the corners might catch on remnants of the fabric and it might fray. So that's why I like using the salvage end for this elastic. Okay, so we went all the way around the skirt and we folded down our first 1/2 inch. Yep, we're at about a 1/2 inch. We're good. We're good. So now we're gonna scoot on over to 1.5 inches. This is where we are creating the whole pocket of where our elastic can fit in. So this is a little tiny area. And then this side is this fold is going to be 1.5 inches. So let's kind of scoot this up a bit. My eyeballing's not as good as I thought it was. Here, I was trying to make it to like 2 inches or something. So you're gonna fold this all the way around your skirt. Let's go. Here we go. Okay, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. Okay. Take your iron and press. Like I said, this is why I like using cotton. It takes your iron really nicely. And it makes a nice crispy fold on that. Okay, so I've opened up my skirt. I'm only sewing on one side. I have my pin markers here. This is telling me that I will not sew within that little 3-inch opening. So we're going to use a stay stitch. If I can find my pedal. We're going to use a stay stitch. Kind of lock in the seam right here. I'm using a straight stitch on the left side of the needle, or this pressure foot. There's other stitches in the center. I'm using the left side, and then I'm keeping this edge along this edge of my pressure foot. So the edge of the fabric matched up to the edge of this foot. So I'll go all the way around. So remember, take out the pin before you run them over. Okay, and then place another stay stitch, because these openings are going to be kind of abused because you're going to push in through your elastic. So that's why we do a stay stitch here in the front and the back. Okay, there is our elastic hem or waistband hem created, but with an opening. It's about 3 inches, give or take. You don't have to be precise. Okay, so now I grabbed my safety pin. This is another tip I've learned from another seamstress, another fellow sewer, so thank you. So this is going to be like your fishing tool. So you're going to snake this on through the elastic, on through this whole pocket that you just created. And then using that safety pin, you can feel it, so it's easy to grab. And you just snake it on through. So you're going to pull this through all the way around the whole top half of your skirt with only about 2 inches hanging out. So it's only going to be hanging out like that. And then you're going to pull this on through this front edge, and you're going to have that side hanging out. That way they can meet. So come on, let's make it happen. There we go. See what I mean? We want both of them kind of out. That way we can work on them. We're going to sew this down. A straight stitch this way, a straight stitch in the middle, and another straight stitch right here. That way it's secured in 3 areas. Make sure too that as you were pulling your elastic through your waistband hem, make sure that the elastic did not roll or turn. That way you're not like twisted up within itself. So make sure that, you know, you're flat through and through. It didn't twist on you while you're pulling it through. So it looks like we're good. So reverse. And forward on through. There we go. There's our 3 stitches. Let's cut down all of our threads. Ooh. Okay. Then pull on through, that way that elastic hides inside. Okay. Now we are going to stitch our hem closed. Remember that little opening, that 3-inch opening that we have? We need to close that up. So get ready. You're gonna again make that hem, the waistband hem. Your edge of your fabric is along the edge of your foot. And stay stitch. Okay, forward again. Stay stitch. Alright. And ladies and gentlemen, you have a skirt. Once you clean up all your threads, clean up all your little strays, we're good here. There's one more. Oh, no, oh, we're good. Alright, see? It's all closed up. Nice and neat. Alright, just had to set you up back over here, about this way. And we've just got done sewing up our little pocket. We made sure that that was cinched up nice and closed, really good. You want to kind of stretch out your skirt a little bit. You know, you don't want to make sure it's bunchy up on this end more the sew than this way. So just even it out. Stretch it out. Alright, looks good. So let's get ready for the big reveal. Here we go. Ah. This looks nice. I'm happy. If you don't, you know, if it comes out wrinkled, go put an iron on it. You know, it's all good. You'll iron it out. But this looks good. I'm happy. Look, our ribbons met up really nice on each seam. Yep, looks good. I like it. Our waistband didn't twist up when we were snaking it through this little pocket that we made. And it looks good. I am satisfied. So hopefully you are as satisfied as with your skirt that you've created. If you created your skirt for your sister, your mom, your auntie, your niece, your daughter, hopefully that, you know, that you put in love and care into it. You know, you don't want to come into a project when you're sewing or beading and put that kind of negative energy into it, because when you do, you know, your skirt, it might come apart, you know, threads might be coming loose, and you just don't want that negative energy around items, especially when you're going to give it to another person or if you're selling it. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned some tips and tricks here. I try to share my knowledge, that way others will take it and then share it on to others. You know, that's kind of my philosophy. You know, I am not the expert in making these things, but I'll just share what I know, and then hopefully you can share that on to others. And we can just make ribbon skirts for everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Thank you. Miigwech. See you soon.